Hi, I'm Chelsea Solomsauce.
And I'm Hannah Cambronero, and we are the owners of Coffee Sarap. We are a Filipino-inspired coffee shop. We're here at our RINO location in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, we opened up our first brick and mortar here on January 11th, 2025, after being mobile for 2 years.
So my background is I grew up in a small town north of Seattle called Lake Stevens, Washington. I'm half white, half Filipino. And when I was 19, I got my first barista cafe job, and I ended up gravitating a little more towards the culinary aspect. So from there, I went into culinary school and became a personal chef, and that took me to Texas for about 7 to 8 years. And then in 2020, my husband's job transferred us here to Denver, Colorado. And in 2021, that's when I met Chelsea. We were both stay-at-home moms, and we were just waiting for the next step.
So I grew up in Lake Stevens, Washington, a town north of Seattle. I got my first job actually as a barista in high school in a club called DECA, which is like a business club. And we had our own little storefront that the students ran, and I was one of the baristas. And I loved it. And so my first high school job outside of DECA was a barista, and then I kind of jumped from barista stand to barista stand. And once I got to college, I went to college at the University of Hawaii. My side job was a barista at Pete's Coffee in the Sheraton Waikiki.
2021, we met as stay-at-home moms. We were hanging out and just connecting with our love for food, cooking each other family dinners, hanging out with our kids and all that. And then we slowly start to dig deeper into who we were before meeting. And we found out that we loved working with coffee.
Yeah, and I think what really tied us together was moving to Colorado and missing our Filipino flavors. And so it was nice to meet someone else who was Filipino and would cook the same nostalgic food that we grew up with at home. And so we would do that with each other, having family dinners and bringing those flavors back. How we started was I live in Castle Rock, and Hannah would come to Castle Rock all the time. And so we had this kind of mom group friends. And so how we started was we just kind of gave out free drinks first to make sure like people liked it, what were their thoughts, kind of like our own little focus group. And once we kind of got some traction of like, wow, you guys need to sell this, these flavors are incredible, blah, blah, blah. That's when we're like, okay, maybe we should actually start making a business. Like, let's start an LLC, let's do all these things. Both of us had no idea where to start. We really just kind of Googled things and then kind of went from there. It was like a learn as you go. And then when it came time to the branding and the logo, I was like, wait, I have such a great resource, my cousin Nikki. She's a graphic designer. I bet she could come up with something cool. And so, yeah, we reached out to her and had like a little meeting of what we wanted. And we wanted to incorporate basically us, like what encompassed us. And so we both moved to Colorado around the same time. We wanted to incorporate the Rockies Mountains as part of it, but then also we wanted to put something definitely Filipino in there. And so that's how the Sun and Stars came about. And then when we figured out we wanted the name Coffee Sarap, that's when Nikki had the idea of putting the C into the sun and really tying just all of those elements together.
Here at Coffee Sarap, how we're bringing our culture to the coffee scene is we're utilizing flavors that are familiar to us, ube and pandan, and then also incorporating words within our menus
to be intentional.
To be intentional, yes.
We grew up in Seattle too, right? The coffee scene is huge in Seattle. We both were baristas, and so we were like, how are we going to bring our Filipino-ness into this loved item like coffee. And so the main flavors of desserts in the Philippines are ube and pandan. And so we were like, how can we incorporate these flavors as a kind of like our basis to our products? And so that's when, and with Hannah's culinary background and her understanding the science and measurements and everything that goes into, for example, making foam or making syrup or making milk, then we were like, all right, let's play with some things. And so we got to incorporate, and that's probably the most fun part, was getting to try all the things that we created. For me, the most rewarding is the impact I feel like have brought to Colorado of the Filipino culture. The best part is Filipinos from all around the state come out and are like, wow, I feel so seen. I think that's my favorite line ever, is I feel seen. Or when they taste our products, being like, this tastes like home. Not some twist, which I'm not against I'm not against people, twisting our flavors, but like just that nostalgic feeling, because I think that's why we started this, was we were missing our flavors and we were nostalgic of it.
Yeah,
so
we wanted
really,
something familiar.
Exactly. So I think, that's definitely the most rewarding thing, and it happens at least once a day.
I think I love when we were on the cart, I can remember there was this one woman who came with her family, and she hadn't been home since she moved here when she was like 5 or 6. I think it had been 50 years since she had been home, and she was in tears just trying our products, because she was like, I haven't tasted this in so long, and you guys are doing it so well. And even though it's like that twist on coffee that just has our flavors, I think it's bringing such a comforting feeling to the community around us.
Of course, the cart was different. So when we got the brick and mortar, that's when we're like, okay, this is now our space. Let's make it feel like home. Let's incorporate who we are, kind of this modern, but also bring in those traditional pieces, like Philippine pieces. So if you look around the shop, you'll see there's like real monkey wood or monkey pod wood from the Philippines. There is a Philippine rice hat. We have traditional masks. Some of these masks are from Hannah's grandpa, baskets. I mean, it was very intentional. And we also have a kids corner, because we're mothers and we have young kids, and we want to take them to our shop and have them experience this as well. So the feel we are going for when you walk into our shop is, I feel at home. We want that Philippine experience where you come in, you get something to eat, drink, and you stay. Let's have more. Here, get more, please, more. And we want to sit and talk. We really want that communal vibe that Philippines brings into any space that they walk into. And so community, it's like culture, community, and connection. Those are kind of like the 3 C's of Coffee Sarap, I feel like, of what we want you to feel when you come into this store.
Yeah, and I know that sometimes it can be very chaotic and lots of people in here, but that is Filipino culture. That is at Tita's house on Christmas. It's 170 people packed into one space. Everyone's loud, everyone's laughing, connecting, doing all the things, and that's what we want to create here. There's a space for everyone. Okay, yes, we do work with other Filipino businesses, one being Pa Burritos. They provide us with all of our breakfast burritos, and they're exclusive to us at the moment. They don't even sell the burritos at the shop. We knew that we wanted some sort of warm breakfast item, and even though our shop is what it is, we're still limited on space. And so we partnered with them. They brought us some delicious burritos, and they're great.
They're a huge hit. They are a huge hit here. But I mean, I think too, we have always sought out other businesses to work with, or other like organizations. So for example, I mean, we're Filipino American women, and so we hone in on not just Filipinos, but Asian women. So we've worked with Asian Girls Ignite. We've been a part of Mile High Asian Food Week, Dragon Boat Festival, all kind of Asian organizations. because not only are, I feel like Asians are represented, but of course Asian women in particular are underrepresented, especially as business owners. That's kind of like one of the things that a lot of people hone in on is, oh, this is a minority women-owned business. And it's like, yeah, we need to uplift more of those voices. So when we seek out partnerships or collaborations, that is kind of at the forefront, I think, of what we go into. It doesn't mean it's exclusive to that, but it really is kind of the forefront because it's more about us uplifting each other.
Yeah. Chelsea and I were not going to be in Denver, and we were very specific that we would only be in Denver if it was in the RINO district and it was already a coffee shop. And that just so happened to happen. So when we moved in here, it was already set in stone, and that was like one of the best things for our pockets was that we didn't have to do a build out. So when we came in here, we set ourselves a budget of 20 grand. We each put in $10,000 a piece, and it was to do all the cosmetics.
Yeah, we flew out Nikki, our brand manager, to do the mural for us. We painted, we installed all this, like the cosmetic things, the light fixtures, painting, the masks, just really the decoration piece, and then of course the furniture. And so we really kept a low overhead even then, and because we didn't know what our success would be like. And then fast forward to our grand opening, I mean, it just blew our expectations out of the water. Yeah. We knew we had like a good following from the cart, and we knew we did a pretty good job as like a social media presence to like get our word, like name out there and the word out there about this grand opening. But yeah, that grand opening was wild.
Yeah.
We didn't take any breaks.
Yeah, the amount of people that came out, we were not prepared. Our husbands were running around. Oh yeah, our friends were running around for us,
getting us more product so that we getting us more milk. I don't know how many times we sent our husbands to go get more milk.
Yeah. And thank God for all of our employees that just stuck with us the whole time. So yeah, we didn't know what it was going to be like. So we only had 3 staff. Those 3 employees worked their butts off, a line out the door, around the railing, out the door, around the block for 8 hours.
For the entire time, yeah. And we only hired 3 employees because that's all we thought we could afford when we did our budget. And then once that stayed busy for 8 hours of us being open from start to finish, then we were like, oh no, we need to hire more people. For us to be efficient, we need to hire more people. Yeah. And we also, after that grand opening, we're like, okay, was that a one-off? Was that a one-off weekend? But then even throughout the week, we were consistently busy, and
we have been growing every week.
Yes.
We grow and grow, and it's amazing though.
Yeah.
We have all these new regulars. We have new baristas that help us out. Our team is growing.
Yeah, we went from a staff of 3 to now a staff of 6, and then so 8 including us. But I mean, we hired 4 more people since that opening, and so it's been. And we're on our 3rd month, and even just seeing the gross sales comparatively to the cart, because when we're on the cart, we're working for like 4 hours tops. We're not really doing long, and we're only working a few days. But seeing the growth of being open 6 days a week for however many hours during the week, I mean, we look at our numbers and we finally like, okay, we're doing it. Yes. We're starting to finally feel, I think, the success. And maybe even luckily backing off a little bit so we can make more time for our family, which is why we originally started this, was we wanted to be a contributing factor to our family in a financial way, but also just as like a role model way kind of too.
Yeah.
For our kids.
The community.
Yeah, exactly.
So today we're gonna make the Palawan Dreams, the Boracay Dreams, and the Mestiza Latte, which are our 3 top sellers here at Coffee Sarap. Okay, so this is for the Boracay Dreams, and we're gonna put our homemade pandan syrup in it, along with some milk. All right, this right here is gonna be our Palawan Dreams. We're gonna start off with our homemade ube syrup, a little bit of milk.
We are going to pull 2 espresso shots. That's our standard. We always pull 2 shots.
All right, and then in the Palawan Dreams, we've got our coffee. This right here is our mestiza latte. So first, it's going to be our homemade mestiza mix. A little bit of rice milk, oat milk, cinnamon, vanilla. 2 shots of espresso. All right, this mestiza we're gonna top with cinnamon. On Dreams, we're gonna top with our pandan foam. All right, this Boracay Dreams, we are going to top with ube foam. These are our top sellers. This first one here, we've got our Palawan Dreams. It's going to be our ube latte, 2 shots of espresso, and our pandan foam made in-house.
Came up with the name Palawan because that's our favorite island to go to when we visit the Philippines.
Absolutely.
And it definitely is like our best seller. Our next best seller is the mestiza latte. How we came up with the mestiza latte, it really is a take on Mexican horchata. We both love cinnamon, vanilla, and we wanted to kind of twist it to make it our own. So we kept the dairy-free part of it being rice milk, but then added oat milk to give it a little bit of a creamier taste to it.
Yeah.
And it's called mestiza because, like us, it's a mix of 2 cultures.
Yes. And then lastly, we have our Boracay Dreams. This one is going to be our pandan latte, 2 shots of espresso, topped with our ube foam. And Boracay is another island in the Philippines. Gorgeous. Thank you. Salamat po.
Salamat.